Hello, this is Ellen Madonna speaking to you from Tokyo Homeopathy. Today we are going to talk about the books and software that can support your use of polarity analysis. Polarity analysis will bring up reliable remedies to solve problems that fit the description that you make by selecting good symptoms. Today, we are going to talk more about the literature, the analysis of information, and how accurate information is gathered by the people who created the resources. For you as the beginner at step 1, you will first experience using homeopathy by learning polarity analysis. And then you're going to need resources to practice more. So you should start learning polarity analysis and at the same time use these resources. Polarity analysis will give you more reliable results than the results that you will get from traditional homeopathy. The purpose of this software is to decrease the amount of research that is needed for every case. I'm hoping that you will have already signed up for polarity analysis. It's free for the first month. Always here, I'm going to be referring to the cost and the quality so that you can weigh that. The price should not be your problem because it's extremely reasonable. If you are from a developing country, it's free. Now, when you use this software, sometimes you come to 2 remedies that have statistically equal results. In that case, you will need to compare these 2 remedies. You're going to need to know about them. Even if you select one because it has a higher statistical result, I would look at the ones that are close to it. When you don't have any resources, probably you'll go to a computer. You'll put in, say, anxiety and homeopathy and come up with a list of some homeopaths' favorite remedies for anxiety. But these descriptions are very short, and probably you'll have a hard time deciding which one to choose. Furthermore, they're not all of the remedies that have anxiety. This kind of description is called Materia Medica. You can buy a Materia Medica book for very little money. This one by Boraki has rather short, very deep descriptions. The descriptions by Kent are very good and are kind of more entertaining. You have to skip lists of rubrics. You don't even have to read those. The stories are good and easier to remember. To buy these books, of course, just put in the author's name and the word Materia Medica, the kind of book it is. Now there's a second kind of book, which is the topic of discussion today, and that is a repertory. If a Materia Medica is an encyclopedia, then a repertory is a dictionary. And the words in the dictionary are what we call rubrics or symptoms. So to buy it, you would also put in the word repertory, but you could also look it up on the internet, Kent Repertory, and you would come up with this kind of list of chapters in this book. If you click on any one of these chapters, you will come up to more information. For instance, here I clicked on mind, and I'm interested in anxiety in the evening in bed. So I click on the page number here. These remedies come up. Anxiety evening bed in is not good English grammar. The grammar of the repertory is always to place the most important word first and the least important word last. This is just a warning that the book by Boger is not the same as the book that we will be discussing today, the Boenninghausen Repertory. This is a picture of Boenninghausen, but it is not his book. This is a $380 book that was edited by George Demetriadis, and it's based on the writings of Boenninghausen. So it's basically the therapeutic pocketbook. And that is what Polarity Analysis is also based on. But he has added a lot of information, so it's somewhat different. And you can find this in the professional software. But it is not the same thing. It's a different book, essentially. And the method is different. The method of polarity analysis is much easier for a number of reasons. So I highly suggest that you start here. You can't just buy translation and get the results that you will find from this software. Another repertory that I suggest you don't buy is the book by Patak, because the rubrics are listed alphabetically. If you don't know the rubrics, you're going to have a hard time using it. These repertories are fairly inexpensive. Actually, if you have the money, I would suggest that you buy these repertories. It can be one of the earlier editions, because the main features of this repertory are the same. Even if it's an earlier edition, it's just less information. These repertories by Robin Murphy are in the same tradition as Kent's repertory. I'm going to show you a picture of Robin Murphy's repertory in comparison to Boenninghausen's repertory. The remedies listed here are many more, and there are not many fine divisions of subrubrics. Here's a rubric, here's one subrubric, a rubric, and two subrubrics. But in this case, this is Robin Murphy's book. You can see that there are many more subrubrics. And this is my own second edition of Murphy's repertory. It's thin Bible paper, and it's much thicker than the Boenninghausen pocketbook. Murphy's repertory is useful to beginners because it is easy to look for unknown rubrics. It has an index in the back, which makes it much easier to search for rubrics. And also, it's written in a more familiar, modern language. He keeps some of the old language, and next to it he puts the modern language. Also, as I said before, it's easy to compare rubrics and their subrubrics. You can see the relationship between rubrics. Often you can find information that you couldn't find just thinking about it. The pocketbook is easy to use because it is so thin. Most of the rest of this book is commentary. 135 pages is not much. Actually, if we look at history, Boenninghausen wrote 2 types of repertories. When Hahnemann was growing older, the Materia Medica of his day were getting very fat because he had studied many different remedies. And his students were trying to collect the information together so they could select remedies. But selecting a remedy from a Materia Medica is rather difficult. Memorizing remedies is difficult for most people. So Boenninghausen thought of a way to overcome this problem. He first wrote a repertory which is the prototype for Kent's repertory or Murphy's repertory. And then the repertory that he wrote later was ignored by later generations. It was not a popular repertory. Boenninghausen's first repertory was 617 pages. 10 years later, he wrote a repertory where he condensed much of the information. And his repertory was half the size. He was a very hard-working man. And so 10 years meant that he put a lot of effort into creating these genius symptoms. That's what they're called. They're symptoms that represent very deep descriptions of a remedy. Now, this is a deep subject, so we'll talk about it later. This is a little interlude to show you how I do cases using software that you could use also. This case couldn't be done with polarity analysis. The baby had a problem with the suture. That's the fontanel here between the 2 bones. In a baby, they're apart so the brain can grow. And this baby's fontanel had sealed off, so it couldn't expand with the growth of the brain. I gave him a remedy called Calc-phos 3 times a day for 2 weeks. His mother told me that he started to babble more, and he was babbling his baby talk. Pulled himself up on the bed, which is a milestone that he had been missing. I thought of the rubric fontanelles, and I put in fontanelles and I couldn't find it. But it came up for sutures. And I looked up pain in the head, because eventually what would happen to this baby is he would get headaches because the brain wouldn't expand here. Sometimes when you use an old repertory that was written 100 years ago, they don't always have the same vocabulary that we have in modern language. I thought of an anatomy professor who told me, oh, the sutures in the sacrum are sealed shut, so they don't move. I think an adult, and certainly in a corpse, they are sealed shut. I knew from giving birth to children that actually these sutures need to open up when you give birth in order for the baby's head to get through the birth canal. Instead of looking up fontanelle, which didn't produce results, I looked up suture. You can look on the internet and find out that sutures do close early, and this is a problem that has a name, but the doctor had said, well, he'll just grow out of it, it's not a problem. But the mother didn't think so, and I didn't think so either, because we have something we can do about it. And if you look at the top 2 remedies here, Calc-phos, and fluoric acid. Fluoric acid is for diseases where there's a deterioration of tissues. In the case of Calc-phos, calcium and phosphorus are very important elements of growth. So what you were having in this baby was deficiency. And if I found this on the net, the remedy Calcarea phosphorica has deficiencies. The use of calcium phosphorica is not happening properly. So this was a tall, thin babies, which calc-fluor babies are thin, and not just babies, but adults, also children, are tall and thin. In this case, he was behind in his milestones. Cell salts are usually remedies that are used as nutrients to help with nutrition. I thought of this website because if you brought up this remedy, Calcarea phosphorica, and you wanted to find out more information, besides just randomly putting in Calcarea phosphorica, if you went to this website, Cajur.com, you could look up most remedies. You would find this description which fit the description of what the mother told me. They're very communicative. They're sensitive to criticism and sympathetic. This baby is very sympathetic towards people. He's interested in people. He's not interested in toys. He's not interested in things. And he's very sensitive to loud noises. The most interesting thing was the essence of Calcarea phosphorica is they are afraid that others will think they are stupid. Ooh, what's happening to this baby? This fontanel is sealing shut. His brain is not developing, so he's missing his milestones. Give him the remedy, that improves. You actually can find fontanel. I'm not sure how I found this. Yes, I did look it up. I found it. The remedies in them are very similar, which tells you that if you look at, the top remedies are in blue here. If you look at this, then you kind of can see that suture and fontanel must be connected. And if you put this word suture and pain in the section where you look up things, look up words, I was looking up in the repertory by clicking here, but if I clicked here, I would get access to a number of Materia Medica. And here I found pains in the joints, in the sutures, pain that is tearing in the bones. It's a lot of talk about pain, right? This access to Kent's Repertory is in a software that is rented out for $35 per year. In that repertory, you can find several of the traditional Materia Medica. If you look at what's possible, you can find a remedy using text. You can do an analysis. You find the rubrics that apply to your case, and you can see the statistical analysis that brings up different remedies. You can use that to check your case. Finally, you can look at the Materia Medica, which is very useful. So you can use this to check on your polarity analysis case, and also to do cases that you would not be able to work on using polarity analysis. Where should you start now that you have this information? Where should you start? Where are you personally? It really depends. If you're learning online now, that's fine. First, you need this software, right? The polarity analysis software. And you can also get books that are very inexpensive, and you can do cases with any of these resources. There are better resources. The better ones I've suggested are Murphy's Materia Medica and Repertory. If you don't have a computer, then Murphy's Materia Medica and especially his Repertory are important. You can use other Materia Medica, but his Repertory is the really important one. Or you can use this software to access Kent's Repertory. Kent's Repertory is good for speed. Robin Murphy's Repertory will probably give you more information. But before you do either of these, you should first start learning polarity analysis. And to do that, you need to have the software. The first month is free. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's giving you confidence that you can learn homeopathy online, and you will subscribe to this channel and press the like hand to let other people know that you can learn homeopathy while you're doing cases. This channel is meant to help you to get the skills needed to get the experience with real cases by solving your real problems. And your results are much more likely to be curative because you're using modern methods. I'll be giving you more information about this in the future. Please send me questions, email me, tell me what you need. I'm very partial to responding to individuals and helping individuals with their needs, because usually they are the needs of many people. Go to Tokyo Homeopathy and you can see the entire list of videos that are to help you learn homeopathy. This is Ellen Madono speaking to you from Tokyo Homeopathy. Today we've been discussing the support that you can get from books and software to help you use polarity analysis to solve your own cases. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.